Welcome to Garden Plants with Jim Putnam. Let's talk Purple Daydream Loropetalum. When I started in this business, Loropetalum got 25 feet tall, and if you pruned them on Saturday, they'd need to be pruned again on Monday as you were backing out of your driveway passing them. It was just amazing how fast and large they got. And now we have these incredible dwarf varieties. I'm next to a white flowering dwarf variety called Emerald Snow, and I currently think that Purple Daydream is the best dwarf purple foliage variety. And in fact, I saw these planted with a lot of other dwarfs down in Athens, Georgia recently, and Purple Daydream stood out by a mile from everything else. This one will reach about 3 feet in height, or can be maintained about 3 feet in height. Probably try to creep up above that in future years, but easy to control around 3 feet, about 3 to 4 feet in width. You can see the habit in this container where it comes up and then it starts to branch out and down toward the ground. So like most dwarf plants, this one's not going to be in a big hurry to grow, which I don't think you'd want anyway. If you're trying to put it under a 3-foot window or some space on a foundation, which this would make a great foundation plant, you might get 6 inches of growth out of it a year or something like that. These flower in the late winter, early spring. They'll actually repeat bloom a little bit in the fall typically, but they bloom super heavy here. You're just coming out of winter. These are budded up along the stems now. It's in the witch hazel family, so it has that frilly little flower similar to a witch hazel. It's not fragrant, but very, very striking. This one could almost be described as a red flowering Loropetalum. It's a very, very dark pink. Just a beautiful form. One other thing on some of the newer cultivars of Loropetalum, including Purple Daydream, is that the coloration is all the way through the plant. The old purple foliage or dark foliage varieties, that was just on the new growth, and now we have that coloration all the way through the plant. The old leaves don't turn green like the new varieties don't turn green in the middle like the old ones did. These are hardy in zones 7 to 10, and I will say that if you're planting these in zone 7A, I would definitely spring plant them. This is a plant that can be harmed in the first winter. Once it's established, they're super, super hardy in zone 7. I don't think you'll have a problem with them. But again, in 7A, spring plant them just as a precaution so that they're well established. The more sun, the better. This plant will be on the greener side in the shade. It'll stretch a bit, it'll be thinner. So the more sun, the better. At least 6 hours of full sun to keep the best color and compact habit. So obviously there are going to be a lot of uses for an evergreen shrub that only gets 3 feet in height, has purple foliage and flowers. If you have a low foundation, this is going to be a perfect foundation choice for you, that as long as it's getting enough sun. These are extremely drought tolerant and can be planted on banks and slopes, that kind of thing. You'll need to do some watering on them initially, obviously, if you're planting on a slope or a bank. But once they're established, they're very tolerant of those types of situations. They're also great with gold foliage plants. This is a Florida Sunshine Elysium behind me, and you can see how much these just pop off of one another. It's just really, really amazing. One thing I will say about purple plants is they tend to disappear a bit without putting some other color contrast next to them. So you need some sort of green evergreen shrub or a gold evergreen shrub like this to really have that purple really stand out in the landscape. A few quick tips on planting dwarf Loropetalum like Purple Daydream. The wood is a bit thin on them, even at this size in the container. And so don't pull this thing out of the container by the top of the plant. Be careful. Put your hand on top of the soil on the container and flip it upside down and pull the container off, above your head like this. That's the best way to get one of these out of the container without doing damage to them. Once they're planted, they're really, really rugged plants. I do leave mine elevated a little bit in this clay soil that I have here in Raleigh. Extremely drought tolerant, like I said, once they're established. The first year they're in the ground, you're going to want to water them when they're dry. But this is not a plant that you want to just baby and baby. We'll water it when it actually needs it. So go over, pull the mulch back that's around it, check to see if it needs water. If it needs it, water it well, and then walk away from it. Let it dry out between those waterings. This can be pruned after flowering. These late winter, early spring flowering shrubs like this, you don't want to be pruning them in the winter time because you will be taking flowers off. So do it right after they finish flowering in the spring if you need to. You won't need to do a lot of pruning on this particular variety. It keeps this kind of compact habit on its own. These are extremely pest resistant, so deer resistant, rabbit resistant, all those kinds of things, and insect and disease resistant as well. So again, this is Purple Daydream Loropetalum from the Southern Living Plant Collection. Probably at this point the best dwarf purple foliage Loropetalum by a mile. Thanks for watching.